Lisa Morgan walked through the huge metal doors of the Galaxy Council chamber. Her heart was beating fast, but she kept her face calm and friendly. Behind her walked Colonel Jake Harrison, a tall man with short gray hair and serious eyes. Next, to him was Dr. Amy Carter, a smart woman who studied alien life forms. The chamber was enormous. It looked like a giant bowl turned upside down. Seats went up in circles all around them, and in each seat sat a different type of alien being. Some had blue skin that looked like crystal. Others looked like giant bugs with 4 arms. Some were just floating clouds of green gas. There were plant creatures that looked like walking trees. All of them were staring at the 3 humans. Lisa had practiced this moment for months. She knew that most of these aliens did not trust humans. They thought humans were too violent and dangerous to be part of their peaceful galaxy club. She walked to the center of the room and stopped at a small platform. A bright light shone down on her. Lisa looked up at all the alien faces watching her. She smiled her best diplomatic smile. "Thank you for allowing us to speak today," Lisa said. Her voice was clear and strong. "We are here because humanity wants to join your great council. We want to be friends with all the species in the galaxy." A tall alien with blue crystal skin stood up. This was Ambassador Veltar from the Zephyrian race. The Zephyrians thought they were the smartest and most civilized beings in the galaxy. Veltar looked down at Lisa with cold eyes. "Humans," Veltar said in a voice like breaking glass, "your species has a very bad history. We have read your records. You have wars all the time. You kill your own kind. You destroyed much of your home planet. You are violent creatures. How can we trust you?" Lisa felt her jaw tighten, but she kept smiling. "We understand your concerns, Ambassador Veltar. Yes, humans have made mistakes in the past, but we have learned from those mistakes. We have grown. We want to use our experiences to help make the galaxy a better place." A bug-like alien with green shell spoke next. This was the Klaxon representative. "Your people fight over everything. Land, resources, even ideas. This is not civilized behavior." Dr. Amy Carter stepped forward. "If I may speak," she said politely, "human conflict has also led to human innovation. When we faced problems, we found solutions. When we faced challenges, we became stronger. We learned to work together. This experience could help the galaxy face future challenges." Some of the aliens made clicking or humming sounds. Lisa knew these were sounds of disagreement. A floating cloud of gas spoke in a voice like wind through leaves. This was an ethereal. "But violence is in your nature. Even now, your military person stands ready to fight. We can sense his aggression." All eyes turned to Colonel Jake Harrison. He had not spoken since entering the chamber. He stood straight and still, his hands clasped behind his back. His face showed no emotion. "Colonel Harrison is here as my advisor only," Lisa said quickly. "He represents humanity's commitment to protecting peaceful exploration. We believe in being prepared, but we prefer diplomacy." Veltar made a sound like crystal chimes, laughing. "Prepared for what? We have peace in this galaxy. We have had peace for 1,000 years. Only humans speak of needing protection." Another alien spoke up. This one looked like a walking tree with silver bark. "Perhaps humans are the danger we need protection from." Murmurs of agreement came from around the chamber. Lisa felt heat rising in her cheeks, but she forced herself to stay calm. "We are not asking you to trust us immediately," Lisa said. "We know trust must be earned. We are willing to prove ourselves. We want to contribute to galactic society. We have technology to share. We have art, music, literature. We have perspectives that could benefit everyone." Dr. Carter pulled out a small device and projected images into the air above them. The images showed human cities, human art, human achievements in science and medicine. "Humans have a gift for solving problems," Amy said. "We adapt quickly. We find new ways to do things. We could help make life better for all species." But the aliens were not impressed. The bug-like klaxon made chittering sounds of dismissal. "Adaptation means change. Change disrupts harmony. We have harmony." "Your harmony." Colonel Harrison spoke for the first time. His voice was quiet, but it carried clearly through the chamber. What about species that are not in this council? What about problems you have not faced yet? What happens when your harmony meets something that does not care about your peace? The chamber became very quiet. All the aliens stared at the human soldier. Jake looked back at them calmly, but Lisa saw something dangerous in his eyes. That is exactly what we mean, Veltar said coldly. Humans always think about conflict, always ready for war. This proves you are not ready for civilized society. Lisa stepped in front of Jake before he could respond. We think about challenges because we have faced many challenges. This has made us strong, but it has also made us appreciate peace. We value peace because we know the cost of not having it. The debate continued for hours. Each time Lisa tried to show humanity's good qualities, the aliens found reasons to reject them. They questioned every human achievement. They criticized every human trait. They treated the three humans like dangerous animals that might attack at any moment. Finally, Veltar stood up again. The council has made its decision. Humans will be granted probationary status only. You may join our council, but with severe restrictions. Your military will be limited. Your expansion will be controlled. Your trade will be monitored. You will prove you can be civilized before you earn full membership. Lisa's smile became tight and forced. We accept your generous offer, Ambassador Veltar. We will prove that humans can be valuable members of this council. But as the three humans left the chamber, Jake whispered to Lisa, "They have no idea what they just did." Amy nodded grimly. "They think we are the dangerous ones. They have never met real danger." Lisa said nothing, but her diplomatic smile finally faded. The real test was just beginning. 3 months had passed since the council meeting. Lisa Morgan sat in her small office on Station Harmony, reading another rejection letter. This was the 15th trade agreement that had been denied this week. Every human request was being turned down with long lists of rules and requirements that made no sense. She rubbed her tired eyes and looked at the stack of papers on her desk. Each paper represented another problem for human colonies. Medical supplies were being delayed. Food shipments were being inspected for weeks. Human ships were being stopped and searched at every checkpoint in space. A knock came at her door. "Come in," Lisa called. Dr. Amy Carter walked in carrying a tablet computer. Her face looked angry and frustrated. "Lisa, we need to talk. I found something bad." Amy sat down across from Lisa's desk. She turned her tablet so Lisa could see the screen. "I have proof that the Zephyrians are stealing our research. Look at this." The screen showed 2 sets of scientific data. One was clearly marked as human, research from Dr. Carter's team. The other was marked as Zephyrian research, but the information was exactly the same. "They took our work on energy shields and claimed they invented it," Amy said. "They presented it to the council yesterday as their own discovery. When I tried to show our original research, they said I must have copied from them." Lisa felt her stomach tighten with anger. "Did you present this evidence to the council?" "I tried. Veltar said there must be a misunderstanding. He said maybe our computers got confused. The other council members just nodded and agreed with him. They acted like I was making trouble by bringing it up." Lisa set down the tablet harder than she meant to. "This is the 3rd time this month. First they stole our medical research, then our farming techniques, now this." Amy nodded grimly. "It gets worse. I heard from the research station on Kepler 7. Someone broke into their computers and downloaded everything. When they reported, its station security said they had no proof it was theft. They said humans probably shared the information by mistake." Before Lisa could respond, another knock came at the door. Colonel Jake Harrison walked in without waiting for permission. His face was dark with anger. "We have a bigger problem," Jake said. He threw a datapad on Lisa's desk. "Read this." Lisa picked up the pad and read the report. Her face went pale. 17 human civilians were arrested on the Klaxon homeworld for disturbing the peace, Jake said. They were waiting in line to buy food. Some Klaxon citizens decided humans were taking too long. When the humans tried to explain they were following the rules, they got arrested for arguing. Amy looked shocked. What kind of charges? Aggressive behavior, threatening peaceful citizens, refusing to show proper respect. Jake's voice was tight with controlled anger. The humans are sitting in jail right now. The Glaxy authorities say they will have a trial in 6 months. Lisa stood up and walked to the window. Outside, she could see alien ships moving through space. Beautiful, peaceful, civilized alien ships. Ships that belonged to species who were slowly making human life impossible. There is more, Jake continued. The transport ship Golden Dawn was stopped by ethereal patrol ships yesterday. The ethereals said the ship was flying in restricted space, but I checked the navigation charts. They were following the approved flight path exactly. What happened to the ship? Lisa asked. The ethereals made them empty all their cargo for inspection. Everything. Food, medicine, personal belongings. It took 18 hours. Some of the medicine spoiled because it was not kept cold. The ethereals said this was unfortunate but necessary for security. Amy shook her head in disbelief. Security from what? The medicine was for sick children on Colony World Harmony 3. Lisa turned back to face her friends. She could feel something changing inside her. The constant politeness was becoming harder and harder to maintain. Every day brought new insults, new obstacles, new attacks on human dignity. I got a message from Earth this morning, Lisa said quietly. The colony on New Terra is running out of medical supplies. Children are getting sick. They need antibiotics and vaccines, but our supply ships keep getting delayed by inspections. Jake clenched his fists. Inspections that find nothing, every time. Yesterday I met with Ambassador Veltar to request emergency medical clearance. Lisa continued. He said he understood our concern. Then he spent 2 hours explaining why proper procedures could not be rushed. He said patient safety required careful examination of all human medicines. Amy looked disgusted. As if we would poison our own children. The worst part, Lisa said, was how he smiled while he said it. Like he was enjoying telling me no. Like making human children suffer was funny to him. Jake walked to the window and looked out at the alien ships. They think we are weak because we have been polite. They think our diplomacy means we cannot fight back. Maybe we should show them they are wrong, Amy said quietly. Lisa looked at her in surprise. Dr. Carter had always been the most peaceful member of their team. She believed in science and reason and cooperation. I do not mean violence, Amy said. Quickly. But they are taking advantage of our good nature. They are hurting innocent people. Maybe it is time to remind them that humans did not become the dominant species on Earth by being pushovers. A communication alert sounded on Lisa's desk computer. She pressed the button to answer. Ambassador Morgan, came a voice from the speaker. This is Captain Brooks on the merchant ship Star Trader. We have an emergency. Lisa, Jake, and Amy all moved closer to the communication device. What is your situation, Captain? Lisa asked. We are carrying medical supplies to the colony on Titan Base. Zephyrian patrol ships have ordered us to stop for inspection. They say our cargo manifest has errors, but ma'am, we have sick children on Titan Base. They need these medicines today. If we delay for inspection, people might die. Lisa felt her hands begin to shake, not from fear, but from anger that was becoming harder and harder to control. Captain Brooks, follow all legal procedures, submit to inspection. We will contact the council immediately for emergency clearance. Yes, ma'am. But Ambassador, the Zephyrian commander is saying the inspection might take several days. He seems to think this is amusing. Lisa closed her eyes and took a deep breath. When she opened them again, Jake and Amy saw something different in her expression, something cold and dangerous. Captain Brooks, maintain position and comply with their orders. We will handle this through diplomatic channels. Lisa ended the communication and stood very still for a long moment. Lisa, Amy said carefully. They are testing us, Lisa said, in a voice her friends had never heard before. They want to see how far they can push before we break. They think we will keep accepting their abuse forever. Jake nodded slowly. What do you want to do? Lisa looked at both of her friends. The diplomatic smile was completely gone from her face. I want to have a conversation with Ambassador Veltar. A very different kind of conversation. The emergency alarm woke Lisa at 3 in the morning. Her communication device was flashing red and making loud beeping sounds. She grabbed it quickly, still half asleep. "Ambassador Morgan here," she said. "Ma'am, this is Captain Helen Price, on the colony ship New Hope." The voice sounded scared and desperate. "We have a major emergency. Our main engine just exploded. We are dead in space with 50,000 people on board." Lisa sat up straight in her bed. She was completely awake. "Now, what is your current status, Captain?" "Life support is failing. We have maybe 8 hours of air left. 15,000 of our passengers are children under 10 years old. We sent out distress signals following all Galaxy protocols. 3 Zephyrian patrol ships are close enough to help us, but they are not responding to our calls." Lisa's blood went cold. "Have you tried all emergency frequencies?" "Yes, ma'am, they can hear us." One of them finally answered and said we violated flight regulations by being in their space. They want to board our ship for inspection before they will provide any assistance. Lisa jumped out of bed and started getting dressed. "Captain, how long can you hold life support?" "If we shut down everything except basic air recycling, maybe 6 hours. But ma'am, we have babies on this ship, pregnant women, elderly people. They will not survive long if the air gets bad. Hold your position, Captain. I am calling an emergency council session right now. We will get you help." Lisa ended the call and immediately contacted Dr. Amy Carter and Colonel Jake Harrison. Within 30 minutes, all 3 humans were rushing through the corridors of Station Harmony toward the council chamber. The chamber was only half full. Many council members complained about being woken up for a human emergency. Ambassador Veltar sat in his seat looking annoyed and bored. Lisa ran to the center platform. She was still breathing hard from running. "Emergency situation," she announced. "The human colony ship New Hope is dead in space with 50,000 civilians. Their life support is failing. We need immediate rescue assistance." She activated the holographic display above her head. The display showed the location of the New Hope and the 3 Zephyrian patrol ships nearby. "As you can see," Lisa said, 3 Zephyrian ships are close enough to provide assistance. But they are refusing to help unless they can inspect the ship first. We do not have time for inspections. People are dying right now. Veltar stood up slowly. "Ambassador Morgan, proper procedures must be followed. The human ship was detected in restricted Zephyrian space. This violation must be investigated before assistance can be provided." Lisa stared at him in disbelief. "Ambassador Veltar, there are 15,000 children on that ship. They will be dead in 6 hours if we do not act now." "That is unfortunate," Veltar replied with no emotion in his voice. "But rules exist for good reasons. We cannot ignore violations just because humans are involved." Dr. Amy Carter stepped forward with her tablet. "I have the flight plan filed by the New Hope right here. They followed the approved navigation route exactly. They are not in restricted space. They are in neutral territory." Veltar looked at Amy's tablet but did not seem interested. "Our sensors show differently. Perhaps human navigation equipment is not as accurate as you believe." Colonel Jake Harrison moved closer to the platform. His face was very calm, but his hands were clenched into fists. "Ambassador Veltar, are you saying your people will let 50,000 humans die over a paperwork dispute?" "I am saying," Veltar replied coldly, "that proper procedures protect everyone. If we make exceptions for humans, where does it end? Rules mean nothing if they can be ignored whenever convenient." A floating ethereal spoke up. "Perhaps this is natural selection at work. Human ships seem to have many mechanical problems. Maybe they should not be traveling in space if their technology is unreliable." Several other council members made sounds of agreement. Lisa felt like she had been hit in the stomach. "Natural selection?" Amy said, her voice shaking with anger. "You are talking about children, babies, innocent people who have done nothing wrong." The plant-like Verdani representative rustled its leaves. "Humans reproduce very quickly compared to other species. The loss of these individuals will not significantly impact your population growth." Lisa's mouth fell open. She could not believe what she was hearing. These beings were talking about the deaths of 50,000 people like they were discussing the weather. Furthermore, the Klaxon representative added, human children will grow up to be human adults. Human adults cause problems. Perhaps this event will prevent future conflicts. Colonel Jake Harrison took a step forward. The sound of his boot on the metal floor seemed very loud in the suddenly quiet chamber. Every alien in the room turned to look at him. Lisa saw something change in Jake's eyes, something cold and dangerous that she had never seen before. She put her hand on his arm to stop him from speaking, but he gently moved her hand away. "Gentlemen," Jake said quietly, "did you just suggest that it would be good if 15,000 human children died?" The chamber became completely silent. The aliens looked uncomfortable, but none of them took back what they had said. Lisa felt something break inside her chest. All the months of politeness, all the diplomatic smiles, all the careful words and patient explanations. All of it fell away in that moment. She looked up at the aliens sitting in their comfortable seats, looking down at her like she was some kind of animal begging for scraps. These beings who called themselves civilized. These creatures who talked about peace and harmony while watching children suffocate. "Captain Price," Lisa said into her communicator loud enough for everyone to hear, "what is your current status?" 4 hours of life support remaining, ma'am. The children are getting scared. Some of the older people are having trouble breathing." Lisa looked directly at Veltar. "And the Zephyrian ships?" "Still demanding permission to board for inspection. They say it might take 12 hours to complete their investigation." 12 hours. The ship would be dead for 8 hours before the Zephyrians finished their paperwork. Lisa turned off her communicator and looked around the chamber. She looked at each alien face. She saw annoyance, boredom, and complete lack of concern for human life. "I see," she said very quietly. Dr. Amy Carter was staring at her tablet, but her fingers were moving across it in ways that had nothing to do with displaying information. Colonel Jake Harrison shifted his weight slightly, and suddenly he looked less like a diplomat and more like what he really was. A soldier. Lisa took a deep breath and let it out slowly. When she looked up at the council again, her diplomatic smile was completely gone. "Gentlemen," she said in a voice that made several aliens lean back in their seats, "I think it is time we had a conversation about what humans are really capable of when you threaten our children." The chamber became very quiet. For the first time since humans had joined the council, the aliens were not talking. They were listening, and they were beginning to realize they might have made a very serious mistake. The change in Lisa Morgan was immediate and terrifying. She stood up slowly from the platform, and suddenly every alien in the chamber realized how much bigger humans were than they had first thought. Lisa was not just tall. She was built like something that could break things. "For 6 months," Lisa said, her voice completely different now, "we have played your games. We have smiled at your insults. We have accepted your restrictions. We have followed your rules even when those rules made no sense. We did this because we wanted to be friends." She began walking around the platform in a slow circle. Her movements were smooth and controlled, but there was something predatory about the way she moved, like a wolf circling prey. "You have mistaken our politeness for weakness. You have confused our desire for peace with inability to fight. These are very different things." Colonel Jake Harrison stepped forward, and now the aliens could see what they had missed before. The scars on his hands were not from accidents. They were from fighting. The way he stood was not respectful. It was ready for violence. "You see," Jake said conversationally, "humans have been polite to you because we chose to be polite, not because we had to be." Dr. Amy Carter looked up from her tablet. Her fingers had been flying across the screen during the entire conversation. "I have just downloaded every piece of information about galactic defense systems, ship locations, weapon specifications, and security protocols. Your computer security is laughably weak." The Zephyrian guards began moving toward the human delegation. There were 6 of them, tall and strong-looking. But when Colonel Harrison turned to face them, they stopped moving. Jake smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. It was the smile of something that enjoyed fighting. "I would not do that if I were you," he said quietly. You see, while Ambassador Morgan was being diplomatic these past months, I was doing something else. I was planning. Would you like to know what humans can do when we stop being nice? Lisa pulled out her communication device. This is Ambassador Morgan to the UES Retribution. You are cleared to implement Protocol 7. The lights in the chamber flickered and went out. Emergency lighting came on, bathing everything in red. In the distance, alarms began sounding throughout the station. What is happening? Veltar demanded, his crystal voice cracking with fear. We are saving 50,000 human lives. Lisa replied calmly. The lives you were willing to let die over paperwork. The main lights came back on after a few minutes, but everything felt different now. The aliens looked around nervously. They could still hear alarms in other parts of the station. Amy looked up from her tablet. Done. I have shut down weapon systems on all Zephyrian patrol ships in the area, also their communication systems. They can move and they can breathe, but they cannot fight, and they cannot call for help. How is that possible? The ethereal representative asked, his voice shaking. Jake answered. Because every human diplomatic mission has been gathering intelligence. Every human trade ship that you searched was also scanning your technology. Every human research station that you allowed was mapping your defenses. Lisa continued walking in her slow circle. You wanted to know about human history. Let me teach you something. We are the species that killed giant mammoths with sharp sticks. We are the species that looked at the ocean and decided to cross it in wooden boats. We are the species that saw fire and decided to control it. But you are peaceful, Veltar protested. You said you wanted harmony. We do want harmony, Amy said, not looking up from her work. But we are also the species that turned wolves into pets. We took our predators and made them love us. We did not do this by being weak. Jake stepped closer to the Zephyrian guards. They backed away from him. Every species in this galaxy evolved from prey animals, creatures that ran away from danger, creatures that hid from predators. You have no idea what real predators are capable of. Lisa's communicator crackled to life. Ambassador Morgan, this is Captain Price. 3 ships just appeared out of nowhere and are helping us repair our engines. They say they are human rescue vessels. Where did they come from? Lisa spoke into the device. They were always there, Captain. We just did not tell anyone about them. She looked directly at Veltar. You thought those were trade ships, cargo vessels, civilian craft. They were military ships in disguise. There are 47 human warships within 1 jump of every major population center in Zephyrian space. The chamber erupted in shocked voices. Aliens were clicking, humming, and rustling in panic. This is an act of war, Veltar shouted. No, Lisa said calmly. This is an act of rescue. We are saving our people. If we wanted war, this conversation would be very different. Jake smiled again. If we wanted war, you would not be having a conversation at all. Amy finally looked up from her tablet. I have also taken the liberty of copying all Zephyrian research data, all Klaxon military specifications, all ethereal trade secrets, and all Verdani agricultural techniques, the same way you have been stealing from us. You cannot do this. The Klaxon representative buzzed angrily. We just did, Lisa replied. But do not worry. Unlike you, we will not claim we invented these things. We will simply use them to help our colonies that you have been starving. Lisa stopped walking and stood in the center of the platform. Here is what is going to happen. The Zephyrian ships will assist the New Hope immediately. All restrictions on human trade will be lifted. All human civilians will be released from jail. All stolen human research will be returned with full credit. And if we refuse? Veltar asked. Colonel Harrison answered. Then you will discover why humans were the apex predators on a planet full of things that could kill us. You will learn why we survived ice ages, volcanic eruptions, plagues, and asteroid impacts. You will understand why we are the species that looked at the most dangerous environment in the galaxy and called it home. Lisa's voice became soft, almost gentle. But it will not come to that. Because we are reasonable people. We do not want to hurt anyone. We just want you to stop hurting us. She sat back down at the platform, and somehow this made her seem even more dangerous. Like a tiger resting but ready to spring. The choice is yours, gentlemen. You can work with the polite diplomatic humans who want to be your friends. Or you can meet the other kind of human. The kind that conquered an entire planet by being better at violence than anything else that lived there. The chamber was completely silent except for the sound of alien breathing and the distant alarms. I recommend, Lisa said with a smile that was nothing like her old diplomatic expression, that you choose wisely. 20 minutes passed in complete silence. The alien council members sat frozen in their seats, staring at the three humans who had just changed everything they thought they knew about the galaxy. Finally, Veltar spoke in a voice much smaller than before. The Zephyrian rescue ships are now assisting the human vessel New Hope. All passengers will be safe within the hour. Lisa nodded politely. Thank you, Ambassador Veltar. I appreciate your cooperation. Her voice was calm and friendly. Again, but none of the aliens were fooled anymore. They had seen what lay beneath the diplomatic surface. They knew that Lisa's politeness was a choice, not a weakness. Dr. Amy Carter looked up from her tablet. I am receiving reports from all human colonies. The trade restrictions have been lifted. Supply ships are moving freely. Medical deliveries are proceeding without delays. Excellent, Lisa said, settling back in her chair as if nothing unusual had happened. I am glad we could resolve these issues through diplomatic channels. The Glaxy representative made nervous clicking sounds. What about the human prisoners? Colonel Jake Harrison checked his communication device. All 17 civilians have been released with full apologies. They are being transported back to human space with compensation for their trouble. Lisa smiled warmly at the Glaxy representative. Thank you for your quick action on this matter. It shows great wisdom and compassion. The floating, ethereal, drifted closer to the platform. Ambassador Morgan, may I ask a question? Of course, Lisa replied cheerfully. How long have humans been capable of what we witnessed today? Lisa thought for a moment, tilting her head as if considering a pleasant memory. Since before we invented writing, I would say. We have always been good at preparing for trouble. It is how we survived long enough to reach the stars. But you seemed so peaceful, the plant-like Verdani said, rustling its silver leaves nervously. You talked about cooperation and friendship. Amy looked up with a genuine smile. We meant every word. Humans prefer cooperation to conflict. It is much more efficient and the results last longer. Fighting should always be the last choice, not the first one. Jake nodded in agreement. We would rather build things than break them. We would rather heal than hurt. But when someone threatens our children, all other considerations become secondary. The chamber fell quiet again as the aliens absorbed this information. They were beginning to understand that they had fundamentally misunderstood what humans were. Veltar spoke carefully. So the aggression we sensed was real, but it was controlled? Everything about humans is controlled, Lisa explained patiently. We are emotional creatures, but we learned long ago that emotions must be guided by wisdom. We feel anger, but we choose when to act on it. We have the capacity for violence, but we prefer to use it for protection rather than conquest. An older Glaxy representative that had not spoken before raised one of his 4 arms. But you conquered your entire planet. You drove other species to extinction. Jake's expression became serious. Yes, we did. And we learned from those mistakes. We learned that power without restraint leads to destruction. We learned that strength must be balanced with responsibility. That is why we wanted to join this council peacefully. You could have taken what you wanted by force, the ethereal observed. We could have, Amy agreed. But what would that accomplish? Fear-based relationships do not last. They create resentment and rebellion. We wanted to build something better. Lisa stood up and began walking around the platform again, but this time her movement was relaxed and casual. Besides, we have everything we need. Humans are explorers and builders. We want to see new worlds, learn new things, and create better lives for our families. We do not need to conquer anyone to do that. Then why the hidden warships? Veltar asked. Because we are not stupid, Jake replied bluntly. Hope for the best. Prepare for the worst. That is an old human saying. We hoped you would accept us, as friends. But we prepared for the possibility that you would not. Lisa stopped walking and faced the assembled aliens. Now you have a choice to make. You can accept us as equal partners in this council, with all the rights and responsibilities that entails. Or you can continue to treat us as second-class members and see what happens. What would happen? The Verdani asked nervously. Amy answered, while typing on her tablet. We would leave the council and do our own thing. We would establish our own trade networks, our own colonies, our own defensive agreements. Eventually, other species would choose to work with us instead of you, because we offer better deals and better protection. You would compete with the council? Veltar sounded shocked. We would replace it, Lisa said simply. Not through conquest, but through being better at what you do. Humans are very good at improvement and innovation. Competition makes us stronger. The aliens looked at each other with growing alarm. They had spent so much effort trying to control humanity that they had never considered the possibility of humans simply ignoring them. Of course, Lisa continued with her diplomatic smile fully restored. We would prefer to work together. Cooperation benefits everyone. Different species have different strengths. Humans excel at problem-solving and adaptation. Zephyrians have beautiful crystal technology. Klaxons are masters of precision manufacturing. Ethereals understand energy manipulation, like no one else. Verdani have agricultural techniques that could feed the galaxy. She spread her hands in a gesture of openness. Imagine what we could accomplish together if we treated each other as equals instead of competitors. The council members began talking quietly among themselves. The humans waited patiently, looking calm and confident. After several minutes, Veltar stood up. The council will vote on a new membership agreement for humanity. All restrictions will be removed. Humans will have full rights and responsibilities as council members. Thank you, Lisa said graciously. I believe this is the beginning of a very productive partnership. As the council session ended and the aliens began filing out, many of them stopped to speak with the human delegation. The conversations were different now, more respectful, more careful. When the chamber was finally empty except for the three humans, Amy let out a long breath. Well, that was exciting, she said. Jake chuckled. I thought for a minute there we were going to have to actually fight them. Lisa shook her head. Never. They are not warriors. They are bureaucrats and merchants and scientists. Once they understood what we really are, they were never going to choose conflict. So what now? Amy asked. Now we go back to being polite, Lisa replied, picking up her diplomatic papers. But they will never forget that being polite is a choice we make, not a limitation we suffer from. Jake nodded approvingly. Sometimes the best way to avoid a fight is to make sure everyone knows you can win it. As they walked out of the chamber, Lisa's communication device buzzed with a message from Captain Price. All passengers safe and secure. Thank you for whatever you did up there. Lisa smiled genuinely for the first time in months. Just diplomacy, Captain. Just diplomacy. The galaxy had learned an important lesson that day. Humans were exactly as dangerous as they appeared to be. They were also exactly as peaceful as they claimed to be. The difference was that now everyone understood both were true at the same time.